All right, well, let's get started here. Maybe give a quick introduction for those that don't know, and then I can give a quick introduction to myself as well.
All right, so I'm SLEW. I'm a YouTuber. I make art videos. I have a little studio in my town where I live, and I just kind of try to share my experiences painting, drawing, improving, progressing as an artist. And yeah, that's pretty much the elevator pitch.
There you go. And you've been very busy with those stencil project recently. You
Yeah, that's
seem to be pumping out new videos every week with new big kind of multi-layer stuff. And
been what I've been into the past couple months, even I mean the year. It takes a while, but yeah, the stencils. I've just been really into it. It's super hands-on.
oh yeah, dude, I'm all about that too. I've got, ironically enough, a huge stencil project that I was kind of envisioning in the backdrop of a next kind of t-shirt design, and I haven't quite finished it and been working hard on it, but just I don't know, the timing of stencils and the everything, I don't know, something about this end of summer feels like the best time to get into just getting out a little bit and making big stencils.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like almost I think of it almost not as like a painting project, it's like it's so hands-on and there's obviously like the digital image I make that I know going into it, but it's like it's something else, it's like it's like a 3D more, engineering neatly type sort of thing,
Yeah,
than just like a
definitely
painting.
heavy, like way, I feel like it takes me way longer to design a decent stencil than much of anything else, just because you literally have to think through every step, or it's gonna, you're gonna forget a line here, or you're gonna forget something there, or cut all your islands out, and it's just gonna,
Yeah.
you really gotta like focus on the end product and making sure each step along the way, works together.
Yeah, I like to say it's like you're building a puzzle that you kind of then have to solve. That's the
Ooh,
way I
I
always
like
think
that.
of
I
it.
like that.
There.
And honestly, it like I definitely like stretch the means of the multicolor and then like the multicolor palette stuff super well. Like not only does your, style fall in line with that, but it definitely is inspiring to see those and the four different color combos you can come out and they all look different but unique in themselves.
Yeah, thanks, homie. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I mean, the video I just uploaded kind of talking about the theory and like how to.
Hmm.
It looks kind of, daunting and technical and hard, which it kind of is, but if you break it down what it basically is, it's pretty straightforward and actually just like rational in how they work. And I mean, if you get a good drawing and you separate them into layers and values, then it's approachable, I think.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, it's a you can break it down into like really manageable
Right.
sections, and
Yeah.
like you even mentioned that when I was asking about suggestions to paint more realistic style stuff. You're like, definitely
Hmm.
just go for value. Don't worry about anything else. The shape is going to be the bigger
Dude, oh
sell.
gosh, it's
And
the
it's
value,
so
man.
and it's like even and I can see it afterwards too when you see a spot that you like really screwed up. It's like, well, no, duh, the value is totally off there, but
Yeah.
hindsight's great, and but kind of keeping that as the focus in my current projects, like still throwing me for a loop, but it's progressing and I'm getting better, but it is nice to be able to break it down into very specific design elements.
Right, yeah, dude, and, like, I'm no I try to say this in as many videos because like, I'm no teacher, I'm no master painter or anything, I'm still learning as much as I can, but, like, the one tip people ask me all the time, "How do I get better at drawing or painting?" Or, like, "What do you do?" I just say, "Try to learn values or focus on values or watch" there's 100 good YouTube videos on the idea of values and how that affects painting and whatnot, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna
no.
try to get that tattooed on my forehead.
Just values. I
Yeah,
totally agree. Like it's one of those that I think it's a never ending learning process too.
100%.
Like even though when I think I can, pick out the three different shades I want to do and where I want to lay them down, I immediately have to go back and, kind of correct it or cut back in. And I feel like, that's a bigger theme of art, but even with stencils is it gives you that opportunity to really just break it down, and then when you do screw it up, it's blatant because not much is forgiven with the hard colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and too, like you said, there's so much variety of ways to teach the styles and ways to teach the process that I feel like it doesn't even matter when four people have the same video. It's because you can pull 20% from each artist, and now you've learned 10 times more than you would if you just had the one.
Yeah, completely. And then like, you could even watch a bunch and you still might be confused and you take little bits and then one video says something or it explains it and then it like all clicks.
Oh, totally. And it's the same way with pretty much
Up.
learning anything. Like, you ever watched a math video trying to catch on like a
Yeah.
new thing, and it's like, this doesn't make sense, and then you get the one that's like says it in the correct 5 words, and it's like, no, duh.
You
So,
become a meme face. You're like, oh,
yep.
that makes
It's just like,
sense.
now, here we go.
Yeah, no, that's what I try to like moments in my life when I remember those moments where it all clicks and then, all the stuff you make from that point, it might not be perfect, but you slowly build on that idea or thing you learned
Yeah.
up and then it keeps happening. You keep having these mini realizations, but only if you just work hard and keep practicing because I feel like you can unlearn things as fast as you can learn them, if
Huh.
you know what I mean.
That's a funny thing. Yeah, because I mean, regardless of like unlearning it, you for sure get like sloppy or less
Yeah.
less fresh with a style or a technique. But
Hmm.
yeah, you could definitely go as far as totally forgetting the cores of it and just losing the technique altogether.
Right. Yeah. I kind of weirdly compare it to in from my perspective, the like learning a language, you got to
Hmm.
practice, you got to learn conjugation, you have sentences, different phrases. And if you go to another country and you speak it, you'll learn it super fast because you're
Right,
surrounded,
right.
you're always practicing. But then you come back to the States or wherever, lose those skills, those like innate phrases. I think it's kind of the same thing with drawing it more specifically, but I think that's a mediumly good analogy
Yeah, no,
that I try to
and
tell
like
people as well.
the stretch to that is like you hear people say sketch every day kind of thing, even if it's
Yeah.
something small, and that does go a while, and just keeping the cores of it a little bit fresher. And I know I never sketched every day, nor do
I
I.
definitely don't either.
No, and nor do I now. And so, but I do notice when, oh, I have been doodling a little extra, and then the stuff I am making gets a little bit better. And
Right.
it's subtle, but it's definitely fun to have those doodles, to have just the small brain tease of putting an idea on a page.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, I've got this idea that I'm currently working on, probably has been melding over for almost a year. Just kind of
Oh,
the
wow.
concept of it, and it's nothing extravagant. It's just like, all right, how can I bring that to where I want it to be, and just never started the project, and then finally got into it a couple weeks ago. And so
Right, I hear you.
I'm
That's
on.
cool, dude.
Go ahead.
That process, I love to talk about with other artists, like, you get a spark of an idea, or this one happened to be a super long time ago, and you've had it for a year, but, like, what's the when do you take that next step to try to, really bring it to fruition,
I
you know
just
what I
had to
mean?
do it, honestly. Like, there was nothing holding it back. It was like, yeah, that's a cool idea. It could work. And then it was kind of like I kind of finally picked the style that I thought
Mm,
would really, approach it well. And then, too, with not having all my screen printing stuff, I then had to be like, all right, can this be a project that I can realistically do with stencils and stuff? And I haven't done like a big stencil in years, honestly. So I was like, yeah, that sounds like a good fit all around. And sure,
right.
and it's right now it's growing to be like 5 and 6 layers. So we'll see if I can tailor it back and make it a little bit more practical. But we'll see. Like, it was,
True that,
eh,
that's awesome.
and it was one of those projects that I had originally thought was like, even doing some 3D modeling. I hadn't
Mm,
done much of it. I've done a teeny bit, but not in like the realistic space. And so I was like, well, this could be very practical to that, because it's more of a common shape and a common object. So it's like it would obviously benefit from having realistic shading on it and whatnot. And never took the dive into that, and kind of maybe cheated myself a little by doing the
yeah,
stencils, but we'll see, because there's plenty of new things I want to try on that front too.
that's cool. So what like, do you go immediately to a piece of paper, sketch it out, or was this year-long thing just in your head?
Probably 6 months in my head, and then just took to Photoshop to start.
Ah,
So
nice.
and just kind of cropped together photos of what I wanted, and
Mm,
stylized it and colored over top of it, and then went to sketch from there. Just proof of concept that it was going to look
right.
somewhat what I was envisioning in my head. Because I don't know, have you ever
I
had
like
that
that, and I
where you've like started a project and then you get drawing to it and you're like, this concept is awful, like it's not set up well at all.
definitely know what you mean. And actually, more recently, I've noticed that I do that the digital thing first to flush out like what I'm thinking about,
Hmm.
before I even go pencil because it's like I don't know, it's just you have more freedom, you can do more than what I can do with my hand and
And it's
a
fast too.
looser, rendition of what's in your head rather than like sketching is I feel like something almost super specific.
Hmm. Yeah. And then too, like you when you're sketching, you might get caught up in the fact that the line's bad and then you're erasing
Right.
and then like
100%.
and I know it's a trained skill too to be able to get, really comfortable at sketching and putting those ideas down, but it- it's really easy to clip art stuff out and crop and paste it and stretch things around on Photoshop and in
Yeah.
20 minutes you can see the kind of layout and see if everything kind of looks the way it should or if it holds the weight on the design as you think it might and
Yeah.
there's
Did you taught yourself Photoshop and all that stuff, right? Because you're pretty darn good at all the like the digital suites of the
yeah,
creative things.
yeah, no, I took like one class that was kind of Photoshop oriented, but it was like a photography class.
Mhm.
So it wasn't like digital design by any means, but
Right.
like everybody else, just watching YouTube videos and
Yeah. Hell
knowing
yeah.
learning how to Google questions is one of the biggest skills that I
Oh
think I
gosh,
have.
man. That's so true. It's amazing. I mean, it's like it's that same thing as like learning how to learn
Yep.
and like learning to ask the questions on Google. It's 100% true.
And like through school that was such a big thing just in like the engineering world and then with the art stuff it's like I run into a snag on how to more quickly select the layer I want on Photoshop, and then I'll go Google around, find a quick solution, and then sure enough, that increases my workflow like 5%. So now I can more quickly jump around layers and have a bunch
Yep.
of shortcuts set up. So it's definitely not an overnight process, but
Yeah.
once I have done 25 designs in Photoshop, it gets pretty quick to
Yeah, and your creative arsenal of, tools and tricks just grows.
oh so much so. And it is helpful with
Yeah.
the custom print stuff. Like people send me some pretty not like pretty scarce designs. They'll be, hey,
Yeah.
I've got this photo. I want this text on it. Can you put it
Interesting.
wrapping around this? And then stuff like that. It's like, all right, I've got a 15-minute window to make this into what I want it to be to make it, worth my while.
Right.
Because I don't charge anybody for that because it's literally 10 minutes of time but it
I
is a
like that
fun
adds
little
up.
exercise. Hey, fair, but I wouldn't get the sale if they didn't have the design in the first place.
True,
So
you're
so I
right.
don't mind at all, and it's a fun exercise for me to like quickly know how to cut and paste and crop and orient stuff and
Properly, you're saying.
shift stuff around. So it's I definitely get a benefit from it too because then
Mhm.
I can learn a little quick tips and whatnot in the Photoshop realm.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I only know pretty much Photoshop, like Premiere, Lightroom, a little
Hmm.
Illustrator, and it took me years, but like I'm decent at them. I don't think I'm as good as you. I'm pretty good in Premiere because I edit so much
I was
videos,
gonna
but
say, yeah, your Premiere stuff definitely is clean and real well put together.
yeah, but it's the same thing you said. Like in the beginning, only know how to cut the clips and
Yep.
maybe do like a little slow-mo or something, but after making hundreds of videos, it's like you get all these tools and tricks up your sleeve, and then your workflow becomes way different, and you can just crank things out, and then you can actually like, while I'm filming or, like, if I'm putting together a sequence in my studio, I'll think of what the sequence is gonna be, how I'm gonna edit it, like, what the transitions will be, so then it can you're more fluent in that language.
That must go so far. I have yet to get there because I just film everything, and then at the end, it's like, well, I have a stale shot over top of my table for 4 hours. This is going to be interesting. Like, I can only do so many Ken
Mhm.
Burns effects over top of it.
Right, but when you do those reviews, like, that's a lot of synchronizing, I feel like, with your voice and the different B-roll and all the different
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
it's interesting because it's almost
'Cause
a forgiving method too. Because like,
mm,
I'll quickly ramble and I'll be cognizant to get a bunch of B-roll and so that I could have like junk to
yeah,
drop over top of it
yeah,
or and that is a I don't know, that's more of a a report project. It's like very kind of linear in that, you know, show how a cap works, get a close up of that cap, describe it a little bit. All right, move on to the next thing.
Yeah,
So,
but there has to be a flow. I mean, like
no doubt, yeah.
you know,
Do you have like a, I assume, you know, you plan most of the end results of your videos, but you try to only film what you're going to keep, or do you keep the thing rolling and kind of have some of those natural sparks amidst the kind of
kind of.
cuts?
Yeah, I mean, I've become such a machine now
Good.
with the videos, which is it is good, but it's like almost cut it up into sections, which might be boring, but it's like you have the meat, which is like the time lapse of the actual me physically painting or something. Then there's
Uh-huh.
like the explanation. There's usually an intro.
Hmm.
There's like mid updates throughout the video, and then there's like just like sexy B-roll,
Yep, yep, real clean, crisp, good stuff.
which
Yeah.
can transition those updates and then into the time lapses. So that's pretty much like a very quick
Hmm.
explanation, and then I
Yep.
gotta think about what the video is gonna be while I'm filming. Like, is this update too long? Is this am I rambling for 2 minutes? Like, do people want to hear this? Is this actually helpful for people, or should I just
Hmm.
keep going back into the whatever the actual painting? But
Yeah, do you ever feel guilty for cutting stuff out? You're like, I feel like this might be relevant, but probably only to like 10% of the people that are
yeah,
watching. So
100%.
is it worth leaving and helping that 10% or just getting rid of it and
Well, a
'cause
lot of times I'll have like the finished video, and it'll maybe be like I don't know, whatever, 10, 12, 13 minutes, and then I watch it, rewatch it like 3 times, and I'm like, "Well, I really don't need to put this in there." That's like an
uh
extra 30 seconds of rambling that I don't think anyone will care about, and then they'll just be more happy with more painting, you know?
Well, it definitely goes to show your videos are super well paced, which I think that's something that I can definitely improve on is mine are short clips and don't quite have that cadenced flow throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard though. It's really hard to fill space and I just think of what people wanna see and different, but I don't think people just wanna see a 10-minute time lapse. I don't think people wanna see 10 minutes of talking, so it's like, how do
Hmm.
you balance all of it? Throw in some entertainment, I don't know, you know?
Yeah, that's a funny thing because like it took me so long to realize that I don't even like watching like 10-minute speed arts,
Yeah.
let alone I made them for like 2 years and no audio, just a little bit of music. And like granted they were 3-minute speed arts, so it was something a little bit more palatable. But it's
Mhm.
like I can't remember the last time I sat through a whole video because you know you have the ability to click through and do this
10
and that.
seconds and whatever.
So it's like it moves so fast and you can choose to move it even faster. So you're just almost guilty to trying to get to the end of it. So
Mhm.
without those like interesting kind of monologues throughout the middle to talk about the process or talk about a problem or a challenge, you know, it does get mundane because it's basically just you're showing a photo at the very end. It's a very flat art in
Right.
regardless of it being probably not flat and not and takes a lot of time. It's a very quickly absorbed piece of information. So I think that the personalities that support the art channels, you know, support the interest in the video tenfold. Like all the art
Yeah.
channels I watch, it's mostly because the person behind is interesting and they're taking on interesting projects, not so
Right.
much, you know,
I
granted,
think for sure.
yeah, granted what they come up with is nice too. Like I definitely enjoy.
It's it's all the above, but you want someone oh, you like someone's art for sure, you know, aesthetically what they make, but also like you wanna know why they do it, their experience. I mean, that's why people love like reality TV shows or
Yeah,
or like anything, you
you're
know,
so
because it's
right.
the people, it's the story of the person and the painting and the process and the narrative or reason why. But you know, the person I think for sure sells half the thing and maybe more for YouTube videos. But I'm
Yeah,
curious too, what other like who do you watch? I'm sure we
uh,
watch a bunch of the same people.
yeah. Most recently, done a ton of 1000 stuff. Watching a ton of him, just
Kills
digging
it.
through his old catalog. Super, like once again, super entertaining personality, and then great art to back it up.
Yeah, he has I mean, dude, one of those people who just like his style is so him and like
Right.
every single thing I just it's like you want it. You want to have that. It's just like, oh,
And I think of like if I was back at 10, 12 when I was starting art, that would be the exact style I would want to replicate. Like
yeah.
it just there's so much emotion and stuff captured in the color schemes and the style that he has. It's
Hmm.
like good. Like I'm so glad there's a nice personality to back this up. Like it makes it
Yeah.
just such a cool and relatable endeavor.
Yeah, he's gonna be a juggernaut, I think, in the whole like mini art community YouTube page of like sharing a lot of the experience, and he probably inspires so many people.
I
Like,
would I mean, just such an approachable personality too.
yeah, and he's like living the dream that I feel like so many people want. Like, he has his own store. He revolves around what he puts into his art, and like that's just commendable.
It so is, yeah. And it's one of those, it's like you wish he had been recording the process 3 years ago
Right,
as
dude.
heavy
Oh,
as he is now, because it's like, damn, it
yeah,
would have been sick to see like the ups and downs of the shop and like it's back to the reality TV. It's like you are giving people eyes into your clubhouse and you get to see what, you're up to and how you're doing it and
yeah,
it's the trajectory of it is so much more involved when you have that
yeah.
one. Yeah. So
Yeah, he's awesome. I mean, I compare him a lot to Kipto also, like making, like being quote unquote professional artists, making like obvious money from their commissions, and then
mhm.
them sharing that. It's just like look into that world that probably helps so many people. I mean, it helps me a lot. I watched Kipto for so long and 1000, for since they started making videos, and I learned so much from them.
Yeah, and it's once again, it's like since they're at that caliber of literally doing it full time, both of them more kind of the mural style stuff, it's
Hmm.
like it does show you somewhat of that underlying structure of kind of the steps they went through and how they're progressing, and you can
Yeah.
you can still see that their pieces are getting better and better, and their
Hmm.
styles are changing and evolving, and it's cool to have that documented in such a intimate form because
Yeah.
granted we're both deep into the video counts here and we're having fun doing the same things and even if there was a better and bigger brighter payday at the end it would be great but it's still really interesting to take a look into our processes and what we get into and how we like to you know develop our own styles.
Right. Yeah. I'm definitely not on that level of weekly having a giant mural to be commissioned. I wish, but yeah, I kind of we were more of just like the regular younger kids who want to do art. And I still feel like that. Like I just go to my studio and just make what I want, and I do have little commissions here and there, and I take them if it's worth the time and money and
Hmm.
cool style. But it's like I'm just trying to find my own stuff, my own style, what I like to do, and just share everything because I feel like I kind of, I mean, it sounds kind of cliche or cheesy, but I just try to make the videos I would want to watch. You know
Sure,
what I
sure,
mean?
yeah. And if you're willing to watch it 3 times over in the pre-roll before it's finished that
Oh,
adds
dude,
some
it's brutal.
value. Oh, I barely watch
I
mine
like can't
once.
watch it after. Yeah, no,
I just
because I
hope I
just
don't upload the wrong file and it's got like no audio on it. It's like, well,
right. No,
shit.
that's exactly it. But like every sequence, I'll like rewatch 3 times, and that's like just like a 30-minute, less than 30-second clip,
Yep.
and it's just over and over and over. And I can't imagine like cinema and like, can you imagine editing a blockbuster film,
Oh my
like
God.
editing The
It
Hobbit?
I guess it gets a little better because you're not the one you have to listen to for hours,
Oh
but
yeah,
equally so, like who knows if you're really interested in editing that movie? Like there's got to be someone that's editing all those rom-coms and it's like fucking I hate these videos. Like these are
yeah.
awful.
And they edit it for like months and
Yep.
months, and all the sound design and every little clip. It's just like it's got to be torturous almost.
Yeah, but for the same reason, maybe somebody out there really does like to do that. I don't know. Video
Yeah, no, you're
production,
you're, you're definitely right.
I'd hope,
And
but
I actually consider a creative outlet for myself. Like I've
mhm,
actually talked to Kipto a little and other people, and like I mean, his videos are outrageous. Also, probably more editing intensive than mine, but I
definitely,
love
yeah.
editing. Like I
Hmm.
actually really, really like it, and putting together a video.
Yeah,
But people do
that's
find it tedious.
something I've burned myself out with that I've very recently like tried to reapproach it again.
Hmm.
It's like the videos that I do spend way more time editing because it's a bigger art production, I have so much more joy in the final piece because that stands alone as, a unique art video.
Right, like your lookbooks and stuff.
Yeah, those are literally some of the most fun to make.
Yeah,
And
those are sweet.
like granted you're borderline shooting a music video at sometimes, and it's like you just feel more inspired to do a bigger edit because it's instantly gratifying because you made a cool look cooler. And no doubt we're
Yeah.
all here to make nice visuals, so why not make nice video visuals?
Yeah,
So
for
it's
sure, and
like,
experimenting with different shots, like, that's all gets you excited.
oh dude, and when you get a sweet shot and it like cleans up and you don't have to do much to it and it's just needs a little bit of polishing, it's like, damn, now I wish I took more time filming these so
Yeah.
half the shots were just this clean. And
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm falling victim to the interest in some of those, like the sticker videos I make where I flip through everybody's packs and whatnot.
Mhm.
They're fun and enjoyable because I can provide something to, trade with a bunch of people and do all that, but it's like it's just a burden to sit there for literally 2 hours and edit down my voice and then basically add super bland text overlays and whatnot. So
Yeah, that's the not glamorous side, but I mean, that's just like work. You just gotta
yeah,
do it because that
yeah.
people love like that's just like a cult following, the whole sticker submission. So
But it's also
Ooh.
like I don't want to let that feeling drive my appreciation for the series. So
Right,
like I'm trying to spin that into like, all right, next month, what can I do with the video to make it different, more unique, and more involved for me than literally just flipping through a stack of stickers. So I
mhm,
haven't come up with anything solid, but I'm gonna basically try to force myself into it and be like, all right, got to change the format by 50%. Where is that gonna land, and how are we
right.
gonna do this?
Interesting. Yeah,
Just because, like, for me, if I'm getting bored of it, like, granted, if you're watching every single one of these, it could be the perfect tailoring to you, but it's probably making other people bored too.
yeah. No, I hear you.
And I think that's a
You're
good
aware
way
of
to,
it though.
yeah, and a good way to do it is when you see a problem is like kind of brute force and approach it and don't let it kind of linger too long. Because then, I've gotten burned out making videos plenty of times, and
Yeah,
it's definitely not worth the hassle in a year or two to have that be a kind of just a bland baseline series. It could be,
yeah.
could be a lot more interesting. So we'll see where it
That's
goes.
cool. I'm trying to think of weird ideas for that sticker submission. Like, what if you slapped one sticker from each pack somewhere or something like that? I mean, that might be tedious, or you
Yeah,
thought of that,
it
but
was so along those lines. From every pack I take one and I kind of put a combo up, and I'll use those for the backdrop of my video.
right,
So
cool.
I was browsing a similar idea of like, all right, could I make that more of the forefront of it, where I'm making an art piece out of all the stickers? Um, so that's one idea, and two, it's like, I do have a means of a lot of unique stickers, so even just presenting them in a different way, it could be of value. And so what if if I'm not able to show every sticker in every pack? you know
Yeah.
do you ever get to, I guess your videos go at least in somewhat of different directions from a full, like, very traditional series, so does that keep things interesting enough from your end?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's the thing. You said it before, like the lookbook's more like a music video. I almost think of that like for like art videos, instead
Hmm.
of music video, it's like an art video. So it's like the video is a piece of work, quote unquote, in itself, but it's about the things I make. So it's kind of like all of those things in one. It's like it's not it's I don't want to say tutorial, but it's like process based. It's entertaining.
Yeah, and if you treat it like that, I'm sure it keeps things in a different light as well for you while you create it.
Right, and then, like, I'm just obsessed with, like, cinematography and editing and stuff, and, like, there's I don't know, like, YouTube blew up with the whole, like, everyone's, like, a video editor thing, like,
Yeah.
Colder World and, like, travel vlogs and all that stuff, like, everyone's, like, an expert now, and there's so many things you can do with a camera and, like, Premiere Pro that it's like my videos lend towards that kind of almost unlimited version of setting up shots or like different editing transitions. I mean, I have the core, the process, whatever, but you could sprinkle in all these other things that sort of, usually will make it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and you definitely. I don't know, when you were doing the revisit to this lab recently, and you were trying to do that, I don't know, forget what you call it, where you take the
Hyperlapse.
hyperlapse. Yeah, like that. You were like reluctant to be like, it didn't come out perfect, but it was
Yeah.
you had to
Well,
try it, right? Like, why
yeah.
not?
It was close. It was close to being
Right?
great,
No, it
and it
looked
was so
pretty good.
cool
You were a little rough on yourself with the one frame that was off. Like,
because it took me a while for the first time. I
uh-huh.
mean, it's just like an hour of whatever setting up and then doing like 100 shots around.
Hmm.
And then it didn't come out. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna make it perfect. And then it was just like kind of the same,
Uh,
mediumly bumpy. But yeah, that was great to try. And now I just feel, I'm that much more prepared next hyperlapse I do if I ever do one.
right. And maybe it'll take only 3 times for it to clip, or every for it to click nicely and really
Yeah.
look well. And now you've got that as a cool little transition in 5 videos, and make it kind of a back burner idea.
Yeah, but it's definitely hard. It's kind of like the art thing. Like I have to get out of my comfort zone. Like I have to look up tutorials on Premiere, and I have to, how do I set up these shots in my camera settings? So there's a lot of failure involved. But if I never try, just like if you never try, picking up like trying some new technique with, how to draw a face or whatever, you're never going to learn. So that makes it exciting. It's something new, but then also, the possibility of succeeding the next time you do it.
Right, just only gets better.
Yeah, there's some positive philosophy, but yeah, it's all good. And you just gotta get pumped up about it, like people always actually right through this little YouTube pop. I've gotten so many messages, man, about how to get your style, which is I love it. And I try to respond, but it's like you you gotta know, you gotta be realistic about what you want. Like, are you 1 hour a week trying to get better at art, like, or are you really into it? Are you getting excited about it? And, the excitement is like the motivating juices that really
Did you have that
push you to progress.
always, or is that kind of an acquired skill too?
I think it's I think it's a little both for sure, acquired skill, but it's like there's nothing better than seeing yourself improve. Do you know what I mean?
I
Like
totally agree. Yeah.
when you make something, you're like, whoa, I just made that. Like that's awesome. Kind of
Or
pat
yeah,
yourself
a
on the
a
back
line just
metaphorically.
lays so well, and it's like, damn, that is exactly what I needed right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you're just like, whoa, let's keep going. Like, let's do this again. Let's do this next week. Let's do this and this other thing now. So yeah, that's pretty much, I'm just like, I don't know if it sounds cheesy again, but like I'm just a huge fan of myself, like
Sure,
on my
sure.
own cocky way. So it's like when I succeed, I'm just like super pumped and I just wanna, see what I did to find that success or find what I liked that I did and just do it more.
Yeah, that's interesting because I know when I started, it was, there was some self-fulfillment of like, oh, this looks cool, and sharing it with friends, and they say it looks cool too. But it more was like, it was just kind of something that I enjoyed the process of doing. And
Yeah.
I guess like we both kind of fall in similar style of, we like to get our hands dirty with the technique and get
Mhm.
into that kind of style of the technicality of really producing the art. And that always keeps me interested, is like
Mhm.
seeing some piece of art that's like, damn, that's really sweet, and then follow up with, well, I think I can learn how to do that. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of breaking it down mentally into like, all right, this artist did these 10 things. Clearly they had to build those things up from other smaller techniques. So let's, try to break it down. And then, you know, that's almost the most genuine way of learning a new skill, is not going seeking a tutorial, is trying to mentally break down a art style or an art technique, and then build it up and learn the techniques firsthand.
100%. That was a great explanation. And it's like a very engineeringly standpoint position on was quote unquote a hippy dippy thing like art.
Right,
Like,
right.
oh, I'm self-expressing myself. Like, we're painting, we're slinging paint. It's like, no, there's like, you got to prepare. You got to see what they're using, the techniques. You can almost set it up in a, like I said, like an engineeringly standpoint position.
Hmm.
S-
Yeah, and like that is, literally science at its core, is a bunch of people slowly learning and developing, and all about the world around us. So whether that's making, equations to decide when a ball will land, or it's
Right.
what colors complement each other. It's all slowly piecing together, small decisions and small techniques to build something very unique and very, you know, not necessarily, I guess not necessarily unique, but very obscure the amount of things you can combine to really get to the end state. Like that's
Yeah.
why I think there will forever be unique ways to, you know, be an artist is because there's an infinite ways to combine the same techniques that we already all
Exactly.
know. Like,
Yeah. Why that's another like inspirational little thing. It's like you could do figurative art. There's unlimited like paintings of figures or whatever
yep.
illustration. It's like everyone's same way. A lot of people use similar mediums or whatever, but they're all a little different and they probably all approached it differently or the process was a little different. So it's like arbitrarily infinite.
Yeah, and it literally by its definition has to be infinite in that same
Yeah, yeah.
regard. Like I
Because it wouldn't be arbitrarily infinite then.
no, that's fair. I didn't mean to critique you there, but
No, you got me. Thanks.
just for that same reason, it's like it's so cool for the amount of variety of artists I follow and what I like personally is like so far and few between of like it's probably not at its core very graffiti oriented at the end of the day. Like granted,
Mm,
yeah, I do like letterings and whatnot and all those things, but it grows and melds into very different reasons for why I like a similar style of art and
very
where
cool.
I like to take my inspiration from.
So like what I mean, you love graffiti, and that's maybe the
Sure.
origins of
Yeah,
your I do
definitely.
too, but, like, so what other sort of things are you into? Or, like, who do you follow on Instagram that you are super into right now or something?
So definitely into the kind of glitch style stuff. I've been doing some studies in like old topography, like those maps
Cool.
of like mountains and whatnot that are just black and white, but they give the three dimensions and they're just like just
Like, the circles around to show the heights and
Yep,
stuff?
yeah, yeah. So that
Okay, yeah,
style,
topography.
yeah, that style really interests me. So I've like delved into it, and there were some artists that were doing like these portraits or figure studies, more or less, with just black lines across the page, and they would raise when they went around the leg, and
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
they were pretty
Yeah,
popular. Probably even like 2 years back was when I first saw them, and they've
I know
trickled
what you're
around, and
talking about.
it's a wild style to get that much data in a black and white area where it's you know
I know what and just lines that just
yeah,
curve in
just
there.
lines.
Yeah,
And so that's kind of been a fun study. So I've been doing some really funky, just warped black and white patterns and seeing how I can like kind of study that and get shape and get somewhat texture out of it when you take a step back from the whole thing.
right.
So I've been doing a little bit more of that pattern and that kind of glitchy, more design oriented stuff recently. And
Very
that,
cool.
yeah, it's just been a fun portion of style that I've been trying to learn and see what it takes to make something similar to somebody else as well as what it takes to learn the style and then develop a whole unique interpretation of my own. So I'm hoping to include that in the stencil project, but there'll be a lot of
Cool.
islands and we'll see how it works out.
Heck yeah. You could do, like, a mini series almost.
Yeah, well, that it literally has to be at this point because the way
Oh,
I
yeah.
was thinking of breaking the project up, it's like, I've got 5 different techniques I would like to highlight, then maybe do two per video kind of thing, and we'll see how it goes because
Awesome, yeah.
I'm excited to give it a go. I'm still in the design phase, but it's it's definitely showing progress, mapping it out in my head as well as getting the first rounds of Photoshop done.
Mhm.
It's a fun process to be excited about the end result because I think, granted, the color combo is going to be the show and tell as to whether or not it really works as well as I want it to be. Haven't decided on that, but I think I can make the style and the transition really exactly what I am envisioning right now. So
Mhm.
I'm hopeful, which is the kind of the bigger picture. So
Yeah, no, that's great. I feel you sound like you prepare a lot, so that just probably adds to the success and
well,
or what you want.
yeah, I'm on that phase right now where it's like I'm kind of done doing the short form,
Yeah,
quick 1 day art projects, because
yeah,
that had its time, and while I was in school, I definitely didn't have as much need to devote. It was more of a, let's just relax a little bit, make some cool
Yeah.
art, and get going. Whereas now it's like, I've got relatively more time now that I'm coming out of work and whatnot, and it's more involved to be like, all right, let's put something, a little bit more dedication into something, round it out, learn a little bit more while I do it, and take a little slower step to the end result.
I think I'd agree. Same with me. And a lot of my videos, like, a, not a while ago, even when I had my studio that I built like 3 years ago, most of those paintings of like faces were pretty improvised and like very on the spot. And
Yep.
I would just kind of Mr. Potato Head different faces, and it would be what it would be in the how it came out. Whereas now I'll do like oil paintings that I don't prepare for just to practice and stay with it, but all my bigger pieces are extremely methodically planned out, and I take my time, and there's no time limit. It's just do it properly, and then don't take shortcuts throughout the process. So I've seen a large switch as well.
Yeah, it's weird how as you are defining your own schedule
Mm,
and making the whole project your own interpretation, you don't want to cheat yourself anymore because there's nobody but yourself is doing the art, and the
100%.
end result's yours and yourself. And it's like, I don't know, for some reason now that I've slowed my pace, I've found that I don't want to produce the like a lower quality piece of work. I'd
Mm,
rather
mhm.
take the time, because like literally even the past video I made, it was just drawing on stickers, and I was just having a sticker section, which was pretty laid back, really informal, barely any sketches. But I sat down and did it 3 days in a row, and just slowly did a little bit more involved, and slowly got a little bit
Nice.
more comfortable with it. And it was because I wasn't happy with, if this was the crescendo of the video, I wouldn't be excited about it. It was, a decent piece of work, but it wasn't anything that I was like, all right, this is well worth and a well paced video. So I was definitely, I'm thankful that I have the timing now to be able to devote more into and be comfortable and happy with the end result, rather than slapping something together in 8 hours and when it's done kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I worked for this this fine artist who was also like an interior house painter, interior decorative house painter.
Okay.
Full faux wood, like concrete floors that looked like wood planks.
Ah,
But he
sweet.
was also a great fine artist, but he would always give me great tidbits of information. He once said, I don't know what he said, but he said something like, "You gotta hold yourself to like the highest standard for yourself." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And people have different, people just like to draw sometimes, relax, or just on the train, or just have fun, and they're not super serious like maybe me or you are trying to, progress our work. But like that idea of just do a higher standard and like sitting for an extra 10 minutes finishing up these lines, or taking extra time to make this certain aspect of this part of the project extra good, and to not take shortcuts, that's something that actually really pushed me to another level, and it took like maybe 6 months to understand that idea, but I'll never forget that. It kind of helped me a little tidbit.
Yeah, no, I totally feel that. It's like, if you have the bandwidth to be able to put that time in, it does make a difference. And so it's also rewarding to see it come in and have impact. And then, not that while you're learning all the time, you're going to need to put that much time into every piece, but forcing
Mhm.
yourself to not avoid problems and solve all the mistakes to 95% really does help to round out those skills and make sure that you are making the best thing you can.
Yeah, and like I'm just speaking from personal experience. I'm not trying to tell people what to do or what like preach on
Come to
people.
the Church of SLEW.
Yeah, yeah. Don't ever come there.
Doors are closed.
Actual literal example of that is with these faces I was talking about before. Like when I would do improvised faces,
Yeah.
but I spent a long time. I mean, I would do like a 2 8-hour sessions, but it was pretty improvised, and I would always focus so much on the eyes, nose, and mouth. And then always I would leave the ears just like super undeveloped, and I would give them no love.
Right,
And
right.
so always finish them with the ears as the same quality or time put in as like the eyes, nose, and mouth. And that's kind of like an example of what I just said, but I thought that would perhaps be insightful for anyone who listens to
No,
that. But
and what I think I barely do it, but what I think a fun challenge is forcing yourself to start at a different point. Like
oh,
if
nice.
drawing the eyes is probably your favorite part because it's a
Yeah,
really cool and rewarding thing, save that. Make sure you finish the ears first and
yeah,
then go into it. And granted, that's a fun exercise and doesn't always work, but it forces you and it'll make you actually, design a little bit differently. Because I know
great.
if I start with my E instead of my S, the piece comes out very, very different because I'm not 3 of 4 in and now the E's following suit to whatever I've done. It's the E can set the stage and then I build from there. So that
Definitely, yeah, that's a great example. Also, the graffiti letters.
well it's like, at the end of the day you're designing and you can work from on the problem from two directions at any point. You can, always work left to right, or you can switch it up and start building the total opposite way, and it still works in premise, but
Yeah,
it builds up. So I don't know. I think it's also fun to have those little experiments when you are making a piece, just to see where they go. And granted, you could find it doesn't work for you, and you do like drawing in a very patterned fashion, but it does put you into a unique problem solving situation where you're like, all right, I got to work myself out of this. These ears look awful to start, and now I have no reason to hide from them. Like,
right. Yeah, no. Do you ever get like creative block, or like you said, you just started this new typography style thing, but just without ideas at all, or
um,
along those lines?
yeah, and at this point, I guess I'm fortunate enough that like I'm only making the stuff I want to make at
Hmm.
the time I want to make it. Like, so I don't feel too much pressure to produce, which is nice. And I guess I've never felt that or let that drive me either. So, that's rewarding in that, I am making just the art I want to. So the blocks don't come too frequently. But whenever it is true, I kind of just let it be more free form, and I'll go try to maybe learn a new technique that's
Hmm.
totally foreign. Like I was messing around with this program the other day that literally just like you drag your cursor around and it drops random shapes, and you can feed
Wow.
it shapes to drop, and then it'll change the size of the shape each time. So it makes these really wonky or organic shapes out of nonsense, but then it kind of gives you a form that you could work off of and design.
Yeah, that's wacky. Wow.
Yeah, it's called alchemy. You look it up. There's this guy.
Oh, Scott Fisher does that.
Okay, yeah, and Android Jones is huge into it, and
Jones, yeah, I know him also.
yeah, so and that's where I found it from a video of his, and I was like, oh, this looks like a fun exercise. And so leaving yourself the ability to just screw around, I think
Hmm.
breaks that mold too, because then it's like it's free inspiration when you're looking at nonsense. And once again, it's not Instagram either, where it's like you could forever spin on Instagram just like looking at cool stuff and just
Yeah.
wishing you could create it, and you're never going to want to go and be like, oh, I want to do the hard work to get to that point, let alone copy it to get 50% of the way there. It's just
Hmm.
such a... So I find staying off of social media for a good part and only using it for social media, like literally just enjoy checking in on 10 or 20 artists and getting off the place, and don't do the mind-numbing browsing. Helps me
Yeah.
stay fresh and inspired by my current inspirations.
Yeah, you're probably gonna live longer for that also.
That's just, hopefully the radiation keeps me.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea, man. I think that's a problem a lot of people have that I certainly did slash do. It's like the just looking and thinking of I want to do that versus just or your iPad or a
Yeah.
paintbrush and just doing.
So you're doing art full time right now, right? So do you find that that's true in the sense that you got to be a little disciplined on?
It's for me, like I was in school last year, and so I was like a student at an atelier, so I was training just traditional, but like now summer I'm on my own, and I'm on my own for the next year, as in like I'm not doing anything, I'm just in the studio. But I
Sweet.
do I do like so much different stuff that keeps me excited, like
Mm-hmm.
oil, acrylic, spray paint, stencils, normal drawing, watercolor, much. I'm pretty like average at all of them. I'm like Mario and like Mario Kart, like all the bars are kind of just mediocre
Doing their
at a
thing,
lot of
yep.
them. But I like just to do all those things, and so if I ever get think of something like I don't really get creative block in the sense like I don't know what to draw, but what do I want to make?
Hmm.
What medium or what what style, I guess. But I mean, I said this in my another video, the sketchbook flip through that like I have a lot of old sketchbooks, and I really do this. I go back and look at all my old sketches, and usually like this is like Plan C, DEFCON 4. Like if I have no ideas, like I'll just flip through and I'll be like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like I could push this or flush it out, or I could use this idea as the core concept, and then it could maybe change a lot or change a little, but that's kind of my
Hey, you're
thing.
leaving yourself, you're investing in your future by sketching now.
Yeah. You know what? No, it's funny though. Um, do you know Rhyme from MSK?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm doing on Instagram. He actually invited me to his studio, and I talked to him for like 4 hours in Brooklyn once.
Oh, dude,
And he
that's
was talking,
rad.
dude, it was like a dream. He's like my favorite artist
He's kind
ever.
of
But
nutty, dude. He's a character, it
he,
seems.
he was super nice to me and super generous, but he's nutty. And he was talking about stuff pretty much the inverse of what I just said. He's like, when the same stuff is like really, really soft shit, like that soft stuff. And I was like, oh damn, that's like what I love to do. You know, I will never forget that.
Roasting you.
But that was just something funny I thought. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I like to do. I like looking back and I like trying to evolve ideas I had in the past.
yeah, it's a fun, experiment as well. I've never done the like revisit your art from 10 years ago and draw it way better challenge, but
Hmm.
it
Oh yeah, that was
definitely,
a whole trending thing, right?
yeah, yeah, it seems regardless of it being like a trendy thing, I find it as like a genuine like, huh, now that I am like quite a bit better, how would I approach the same exact situation, you know?
Right,
Like
right.
I've done it once before, I know the framework. Now how do I like perfect it? And I don't know when I'll do that, but I definitely want to go at it and see where it goes.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think maybe I just did that subconsciously because I didn't know what what I wanted to do. But I
Huh,
really
yeah.
do love doing multiple renditions of even newer sketches that were like 3 months ago. I'll do it again, you know.
Hmm. Now, have you ever delved into kind of the merch style stuff? Like,
Like merchandise.
yeah, like designing something for a little bit more production. I know you were.
Yeah, I've thought of stuff like for like myself, and but I have a bunch of homies that do clothes and
Hmm.
like decks of cards and like graphic design stuff like that. But I've never done it really for my own. I've never really sold anything. I'm trying to think. I did this illustration for Nalu, um, that are based in like Bali, but I did little screen printing for them, but nothing like you do, nothing like that at all. But it's certainly something that
Because
to
like,
slash am going to do
yeah,
hopefully
I
eventually.
mean, I think that's like a derivative I've just had a ton of fun with that I like to suggest to anybody that hasn't dove in.
Hmm.
Because like, stenciling a t-shirt kind of works well. Like the spray paint's
Yeah.
good enough nowadays. Like you can get a decent shirt, and granted, like it's not gonna be a $50 t-shirt, but you're supporting the artist at the core. And I used to wear all my spray painted stenciled shirts in high school, like, and the quality of everything's only gotten better. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm interested in that in the respect because like hell, I could go to Zoomies and buy, a Billabong t-shirt, or I could, support for $20 an artist online and that I have a way more personal connection to.
You're
And
so right.
and I've
Yeah.
more recently dove into that morale of like, all right, I don't buy 10 t-shirts a year. I probably get two, three, four maybe.
Mhm,
And so when I do feel a little bit more driven to get one to support somebody, I know it's like, granted, I'm not going to buy something I don't like the design of in the first place. Like,
mhm.
it's not panhandling, but it's, I'm way more interested in trying to support somebody that's growing a culture than somebody that's already up there.
Yeah, no, I hear you. That's such a good call, and I think I agree. That's true. It's like because you can almost bridge your clothing design with art. You know, it's almost like the same thing. It's just on a different surface, right? So it's like it's almost natural for you to just wear sweatshirts or
No, yeah,
things like
and I
that.
mean you have to wear a
Your art.
shirt out in the day. Like I'm not living in the nudist colony. I don't know about you, but I put a t-shirt
Yeah,
on every day, and so like why not have that, not only
your
be
own.
my own or a conversation starter to some regard. It's like,
Yeah,
and then too you get like the random conversations of people that know who that random artist is, and now all of a sudden you both know like who the random sticker artist is from Detroit, like just because they grew up in that area or whatever. And the small interactions that I've had for that are just so fun and invaluable. It's like kind of almost worth going super niche and seeing what people react with.
yeah, that's great. That sounds super fun, and it just sounds like another outlet.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like a really easy way to share art in a physical medium. It's like
Right, right,
I've
right.
only got so much room for posters in my, to hang up. So,
Yeah, no, not everyone's gonna buy like a print to hang on their wall. And
right. And so when your space is full and you don't cycle out your posters and whatnot, or you're not a poster collector, it's like, yeah, well, t-shirts are kind of a forced collection because you're either gonna wear through them, it's gonna get too small, you're gonna get it stained or whatever, and it's like, you have your time with it and then it's done. So it's a nice recycle that gives you an opportunity to share something creative too.
right on. I totally agree. That's so awesome. You just said that very eloquently.
Well, it's one of those things I think about like so much. Just
Yeah.
the idea of like what a t-shirt, because like growing up, to start, I didn't make my own t-shirts and whatever, but even still it was such a conversation starter. Like I know I'm not the most outgoing person to start the conversation, but I have plenty to say once we do talk or whatever. So to have someone say, "Oh, a sweet t-shirt," that just, is a super nice icebreaker to be able to be like, "Yeah, you know what? The guy's from Chicago and he's 15. Who knew that like you could make this sweet design and get it produced in like China and he's got his own brand like."
No doubt. Yeah, totally. And it's like, yeah, it just shares a little of who you are.
Right, and then like you can do the same to other people. Like if you dig a t-shirt someone else likes, it's a
Yeah.
super easy way to be like, "Yo, like nice shirt. Let's talk about it a little bit."
Hell yeah.
So I just think it's such a fun and sociable way to share my own art. So it's, rewarding too to be able to do that for artists that are your friends or artists that are, near and dear to the styles that you like. It's definitely nice that we live in an age that you can get so personal with, the access to making something super unique to some random artist style.
Right. Yeah, that is. Yeah, today you can really support people on even a small scale, which is still a huge deal.
It's funny how the pennies add up. Like,
Yeah, indeed. Especially, I mean, take it all the viewers you have, a certain amount, even if it's a small percentage, that's still a lot of people, or for anyone trying to for anything, it does add up. And supporting small artists, dude, is like the best thing ever.
oh, I totally love it.
Yeah, like I was just thinking about that. I was just thinking about 1000 and like imagine all the little support he had to get to build up to his, his store statics and like all the
Yeah.
things. Like he must have will definitely helped him through that. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of his business, but
Yeah, but I mean, it
it
kind
starts
of,
by people just helping him out.
yeah, and I mean, it's a slow snowball effect where it's like I forget what the context of this was, but it was like to build a brand, say you've got 1,000 people and you convince them all to spend $100 towards you a year. Now you've got
Hmm.
a sponsored like segment where you're making $100,000 a year. That you
Yeah,
can live off that handsomely. Like that is more than
certainly. And it
like
sounds so easy when you put it like
right,
that.
one
Like that's
thousand people
not
and
outrageous
convince
at
them all
all.
to give me $100. Like, but it's like, so what? So now you've got 10 people that you can convince to spend $10. Like now you've got $100 for your next project. That, if you invest back into yourself and
Yep.
you're committed to it, it is a compounding effect. And it's,
Yeah.
what I find is really cool is like I really support the brands and like the suppliers that give money and give abilities back into the art community, whether it's sponsoring a mural festival or
Mm.
sending me some spray paint to review. It's like literally I would probably even still not be willing to spend $100 for a review. Like there's no way I'm going to make that money back. So
Yeah.
it's so beneficial that like you can trade and they're willing to help you out. And granted it costs them a little bit less, but it's the small handouts and then the small support combined just really helps to establish a small economy for artists, as well as lets people live off of it.
Yeah, I think that's like you've gotten that a lot, right? Like
Thankfully,
someone
yeah,
sends you a bunch of paint.
yeah, it's super helpful. Like it's not all the paint I use, and it doesn't, that's not that. But if I can make 2 or 3 videos off of one little sponsored segment, it's like
Huh.
it just helps to keep things going, and then I don't have to worry about bringing personal money into it or whatnot. It's
Yep.
self-sufficient, which is more than I could ask for. So
It's almost like an everybody wins scenario.
it has to be, right? Because like I talk
It
about your
has to be.
brand, like it's so what if it's like someone's getting undercut by some regard? It's like if we can make artists on YouTube a bigger economy altogether, more artists are going to be able to make their living off of YouTube videos and the things that the peripherals to that, like
Yeah.
because it's a touring artist, right? Don't they make way more money when they go on tour than they ever do on album sales?
Yeah, like a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think tours, and it's like the tours are the big money.
So I feel like for a small form artist, there's never been that interaction on the personal level, which is, I guess, the tour. But here it's flipped in that it's, the YouTube is the personal connection with the artist, and
Hmm.
you get to see the back behind the stage and the raw
Right.
nitty gritty.
Definitely. Definitely.
I know I'd like to see where kind of, everybody likes to complain about the platform and the means of it, but at the end of the day, it's definitely there's way more money involved in art than there was even 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I was talking about this with someone. YouTube's changed so much, man. I remember, do you remember when they had the annotations on the videos and people would
Yeah.
just spam annotations everywhere?
Red, green, yellow, big,
Yeah,
yeah, text blocks.
for time
Certainly was.
and just all the other things. And yeah, it's just so the amount of people, like, I feel like this is just a personal, like, festo, but like the Casey Neistat phase when he was like just had a million, like he probably increased all the camera companies like earnings by so much. Like, and people probably bought vlogging cameras and those Rode mics and the
That's
Gorilla
outrageous.
tripods, and then like it was like a new era of YouTube and
He's
like
probably
everyone.
made those Gorilla Pods like $1 billion.
Seriously, dude, it's something outrageous. And I mean, he wasn't the only, but like I just use him as the era Mount Rushmore. But it's just ridiculous. And now YouTube is something insane, man. Like you can find anything. You can find countless hours on anything. How to drive a cruise ship, tractor. It's everything and anything, and it's just real ass people, which is like why people love it.
Yeah, no, it's got the reality TV on steroids.
Hmm.
Do you ever get caught in like wormholes of watching like super random stuff that you're like, why am I here?
Dude, you wouldn't believe me if I told you how much YouTube I watch. I sometimes tell people, and I like think it's they think it's a joke, but I tell people that I think I'm like top 1,000 in the world of how much,
Consumer.
or like in my lifetime, how many videos I've watched. I feel like I'm top 1,000
I've
in the
watched a
globe.
lot. Yeah, I'm not top 1,000, but
Brag about it.
no, but dude, it's I heard a stat. I don't know how true it is, but they were like, yeah, average watch or average like session time for someone on YouTube's like 45 minutes. And I was
Wow.
like, that's probably not wrong compared to all the times that like, I go on there and it's not to casually, hang out. It's like, I'll dig through and watch my 5 20-minute videos, and
Yep.
then I'll find like
Yep.
5 more that are, tangents or whatnot and keep coming
Yeah.
back to it. It's
Yeah.
wild. But it's, like whether it's a random suggested, how to build a house tutorial, or it's
Mhm.
something crazy. Dude, I had one video. It was like a tutorial on like refilling like a pocket spray paint can with like a bigger can,
Right.
and like super randomly it just started getting a ton of traction. Like
Oh, I
YouTube
think I
just
know what you're talking about, yeah.
yeah, YouTube decided to post it after like it being uploaded for 5 years, and
Wow.
then it decided to push it, got it like a couple 100,000 views all of a sudden, and then there was literally comments on it like, I don't know why I'm watching this. I don't like spray paint.
I
Like,
love that.
and it's like
That's amazing.
I've been there so many times, and it's like sometimes
Percent.
YouTube just decides to send things around. But at that same rate, it's like I've definitely found some really random channels that I do find an interest in because it was an nonchalant suggestion, and
Yep. And it's crazy how it works, and I don't know what I was just gonna say, but like YouTube, you can learn anything. That's what I like to say I was raised on YouTube, but my whole creative endeavors started with watching spray painting videos, like the space scenes, in New York City.
yep, yep.
I was amped about that. Somehow convinced my mom when I was like 13 to get me some spray paint and the paper. Did it in my garage. Literally mimicked exactly what they were doing on the videos,
And it looks sick,
and
right?
it looks sick. And I was like, "Holy crap, look at this!" And then like that was literally the fuel to the next 3 4 years. And then
I'm
I got
sure
into
some of the
graffiti.
spray paint helped with that too.
Yeah, I mean, spray paint's just beyond fun. I couldn't recommend it more to anyone.
I
But
was I was
you
talking
know,
more the aerosol.
oh, the fumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't have been good as a 13-year-old,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's hilarious. But it's like, you can really get inspired, and that's another thing I hold, not to get deep again, but like I hold my YouTube thing and the passion, more of my identity right now, like super dear to myself because I found it out for myself. It's like by me for me, you know what I
Right.
mean?
You
Like it's
curated
it's
your
authentically
experience.
me.
Yeah.
That's a very nice way to put it. Thank you, Sive.
No, hey, you fed me the softball. I just polished it up.
Right, but it's true, man, you know what I mean? Like, no one told me how to do this, no one taught me, I mean, people like it for sure, but at the end of the day, I did it for me,
Yeah.
by me.
What do you think? So, I this is kind of like a large philosophical question. Do you think if YouTube goes bankrupt, allegedly, what what value is there for like the human race to keep all the content they own? Like
Whoa.
what government agency has to buy that and keep the data from going to all zeros because it has amassed so much of the, you know, human knowledge in one form or another. Do you think
Wait, I
there's
think I think I'm confused about your question, like, if people stop making money on YouTube or,
no,
like,
so kind of apocalyptic, all the YouTube servers are gonna either turn off or someone has to pay to keep them on. Do you think there's a value for,
oh,
evolution in
yeah.
the world as a whole to keep all of the YouTube library?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I think so. I think, wow, now that I'm thinking about that, is a crazy question. If possible, sure. I mean, you've heard those conversations about like AI robots. Like they don't need, they can just use Twitter, they use Facebook and YouTube to literally understand all culture
Yep,
everywhere,
yep,
So it's like it literally is on like a website.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's one of those like funny things that's like you could delve even deeper and be like, all right, so do we keep all the how-to videos, or you know what, the culture videos are actually probably more telling to like what, like a snippet of time of what people are actually like in this era.
yeah, that's funny. I just thought it would be like it's like the city of Alexandria, this great library that burnt down. It's
Yep,
like that
yep.
would be what YouTube is nowadays almost.
Right, and who turns it off and being like, nope, we don't need it. We've got enough
That
over
would be
here. Like,
crazy. That'd
because
be
it's like
crazy.
you and I both think it's like invaluable at this point. Like,
100%. Yeah.
there's so much here, regardless of the cat videos. Like, there is
Mhm.
so much data and knowledge just embedded in YouTube, but it's like you can't really, and you can't even get that in text form. So it's like, what do you
Right.
transcribe all the videos? Like.
No, you can't do it. It's just it's invaluable, like you said, I think. Wow, that's a deep question, man. It's crazy, and that's scary. Like if the grid just goes, or like so many people who are just so much smarter than other people. Like where are all these billion hours of YouTube are uploaded every day or something, dude? Like where is this being stored?
All over the earth.
But like,
They
you know what I mean? That is just mind-boggling.
it's wild, and that's why like, well, so like I don't know how familiar you are with like the evolution of electronics, but basically the theory goes, and it's kind of maintained this in practice. Every 2 years, I
It'll
think,
get smaller and better, and then
yeah,
it eventually
it's like tenfold smaller, tenfold better, tenfold everything. So like, data gets cheaper, but we make more data because we have better sensors and better cameras
yeah.
and all. So it's like at some point that tops out, and that
Mhm.
you can't make it tighter. So now you grow bigger, and then we grow too big for the Earth, and
Yeah, it's like
you
a paradox.
right, chaos.
There is a point you're saying where you can't get space or something,
Yes, it's
and
literally
that's
like
the
the
demise of humankind.
right, and that's the idea of like, the ultimate density, or the ultimate vastness. Spread everything
Mm,
really wide, or it gets too small, and then it gets too tight, and then you have too many problems. But it's
yeah, wow,
but then you hear like, in that same vein, like all of Wikipedia can be stored on like a 16 gigabyte flash drive, all its text.
that's
And
crazy.
it's like, damn, like I could just keep that on
Oh
me.
my
Like
god.
like that seems
Yeah, easily.
valuable. But why don't, like, can I download that and just keep it, so in case like everything else
Jeez,
goes down, like I've got an extra copy for you? Like, great.
interesting. I wonder how much, like, all of Spotify would be, probably way more, but
Yeah, because like, you got this audio files are a lot bigger than just
yeah, but
text.
not even close to what YouTube is.
No, and then you have YouTube, which is so much more. And then you've got the text descriptions, you've got the closed caption auto
You got
generation,
the
like
MKBHD 8K
yeah,
videos, like
you got 3D videos that are in 4K, like
oh god, yeah.
yeah, it's crazy how big files can be.
Yeah. What do you think, like, do you think if you have a thought about it, like what the future of YouTube is? Like when we were talking about before when it was like it was just like goofy videos, it wasn't like commercialized, like there wasn't any Ellen DeGeneres shows,
Yeah, yeah.
clips, or Jimmy Fallon like 5, 6, or maybe 5, 6, but way longer ago. What do you think it is gonna be in the future? Like you think it will be cable? You think it will be like source of all everything, like streaming services
I th-
all in one?
yeah, well, so if I think it's a kind of a broad statement, right? Like they're obviously going to try to put their hands in the paid subscription services and whatnot,
Mm,
because that's consistent stable income. But you can already see that it's going towards a more professional route. Like even the jankiest of videos are 100 times more produced than when we were starting. Like I know my original videos, there wasn't a single cut in it. I would literally just upload it from my camera. Like 10 minutes, if there's a mistake in there, whatever, I don't care. Like
100%.
and like that doesn't, sure, that might fly at the lowest tier, but that's not what YouTube's going to be driving to make their platform successful, because
Right.
there's too many people and brands and jobs involved to keep it as a platform that makes money off of the
For
content
sure, like,
on it. Like,
you'll never not be able to upload videos like that, but they'll just never be seen.
right. And two, sure, they will be seen, but under a very small
Yeah,
derivative
yeah.
audience. Like, that's never going to be the mainstream push for what they like. Even our art stuff is not the mainstream.
Oh, not even
We
close, yeah.
like we barely bring people to the platform. Like, but
I know, it's crazy.
so for that regard, I feel like it's only going to ever grow to be a more kind of premium service.
Mhm.
But I don't know that that means there's ever going to be a void for small form
Yeah,
small tier creators. There's got to be something to fill that. And as long,
right.
I mean, the thing that YouTube is like, so much of it is the fact that you can bring in some revenue. Like whoever likes
Yeah,
to say that that's not a factor is like so foolish. I've literally
yeah,
like I've
that's
seen
100.
people quit back in the day when you could get your AdSense turned off, like
Yep.
full on, if you Like, and then even big channels that, get caught for, bad content or, racy content,
Yeah.
that they have to stop because they can't support themselves anymore. So it's
Yeah,
like,
that's a bummer reason. And like the between YouTube, it's like they're not doing they're not pushing creators, quote unquote, to like the trending page or anything. And that's like why, like, it's funny. There's like two types of people. Like I was just talking to this family friend, this older guy, and he like don't understand the whole YouTube culture. Obviously, not everyone should, but like the small creators, the little creators, like people have like mini TV shows. You subscribe to them, they upload videos every day, every week, and it's something you follow. And it's like little, it's a little culture. There's little niches like the art niche, the vlog niche, whatever.
yep.
And then there's people who just Google something and they a YouTube video pops up and they just watch that as like a one-time thing. But I think, yeah, it's gonna get more premium, no doubt. It's gonna be more legit and like, but the small creator is the backbone, perhaps, of the entire platform. Like you said,
Yeah,
like
it's
anyone can upload anything, anyone can monetize anything.
yeah, so I mean, as long as they keep that, I think it'll forever also be a place for people to put their home videos on.
Let's
Like,
hope, dude.
and I mean, I think they would, if you think optimistically, they would be foolish because they're still making money off of UI and everybody else on the platform.
True.
So if
This
they
is
can
true.
if they can make a penny and all of the framework is already paid for from people
And
that
keep the
bring
masses
huge
happy.
right people that bring huge numbers to the channel to the platform, pay for the actual infrastructure and pay to save all of our data and pay to have the programmers go. And whereas you and I are just icing on the top, where it's like, great, we made YouTube $10 this month.
Yeah.
But they're not going to say no to that $10 if it's free to them at the
100%.
end of the day. So I think optimistically, there will always be an opportunity for someone to grow.
Mhm.
Um, and even like you've been doing this for how many years, and you just saw like so much traction over the last
Dude,
month,
yeah.
and it's
It took
like,
me like
I
keep going.
was just saying, it's just like you never know when you hit, and like just keeping at it and staying devoted to your craft and having it be a support structure is like kind of invaluable, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when did you start making, we don't have to talk numbers at all, obviously, but like when did you start making like for those of you who don't know, like you have to hit like $100 threshold to get paid. So like I think the first time I made $100, like my first check from YouTube, it was only half ago. And I've been uploading videos for like 4 years. I've had
Wow.
like four different channels, but like
Hmm.
this main one, like I have a video, I think my first one from high school, like 2014.
Right, yeah, you were back there right when I was starting too. I remember you painting in your barn and whatnot, like up in the attic space.
Yep, yep.
But yeah, I mean, I was probably on the platform for 3 or 4 years before and that was, you know, not religious uploads, but
Right.
dedicated, consistent
Yeah, almost
stuff.
like a part-time job,
Yeah, and I mean
if not more.
that was, beginning of high school. I was still doing everything because I just was like, had no means to share my art, and this was
Mhm.
the best way to do it. And just fell in love with trading stickers, so just did that through and through. But I
Right.
mean, it still isn't like very substantial. Like my channel's
Yeah.
pretty modest despite the subscriber count being high. It's there's still only so many people that come out to look. And
Yeah. Um, YouTube, man, I could talk about it forever. It's fun talking about it, honestly. I
well,
don't
it's
think we talk
also
about it enough.
well, I mean, like you said, people in the day to day don't have the same understanding and appreciation for exactly like as deep as we can go with it and
Mhm.
our experiences. So it is interesting to have a similar look on the trajectory and how it's going for you and how it's going for me and
Right. I also just don't have any friends who are like any real life friends.
at
We're
all.
friends, Sive, but we're cyber friends as for the moment until we meet. But yeah, none of my friends upload videos, or I mean, they know about it and they follow me and they know I film and whatever. But I'm the only YouTuber.
Right.
It's kind of
Yeah.
sad.
No, I mean it's almost, I think for that same reason it's almost an introverted art at that.
Oh, dude, I completely agree,
Like
man.
it's not something that you would be comfortable performing in front of somebody most of the time, at
Oh,
least. Like it is a
hey,
very
man.
tailored, you can get it done right, you do it right, and you show your best side. And I know that's probably the only way I would ever be able to share my art is by the means of I get to control how you actually see it. Like,
Yeah,
so I mean, but that
isn't it
too is
funny?
like it's a, that's an artist mentality kind of at its core is, you do stuff in private and then show people the final result. Um, and same with the YouTube, you get to show whatever side of the curtain you want. You can go super deep and get super personal and your personality's part of it, or you can
Mhm.
stay reserved and kind of more on my side of things where it's just, very kind of technical stuff and
Yep.
kind of just process oriented and just enjoying that portion to it.
Right, and that's to each his own for sure. Do you think you'll ever show your face?
I think about it. I don't know though. Like, do you really want
Yeah,
to know
I
what
mean, you don't have to answer, I'm just curious.
the character in the book really looks like? Aren't you like always disappointed in the video,
Dude, that's
like in
such
the
a famous
movie?
quote. What is it? It's like, "You never meet your hero," or something,
Right.
like, "You'll always be let down." That's so sad, dude, come on, you gotta have more
Dude,
optimism than that.
no, yeah, no, I'm just that's a fallback if
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
It's like no, I'm just for sure more comfortable not throwing my face on there, but
Right.
we'll see, maybe one
No, I
day.
hear you. So, my first video actually on this channel that, like, camera with my face
Hmm.
is, like, this graffiti canvas in my old garage, and I'll never forget it. I was of people watching it or, like, just uploading that video, like, me talking to camera. It was bizarre, but
Yeah, it's a weird thing, and I don't feel comfortable
yeah,
doing it, so
yeah.
we'll see when maybe I'll get comfortable
I
eventually.
don't think I'll ever not cringe when I see people watching my videos. Like, when people or friends or family find out that I take it pretty seriously, like, it's, like, kinda my life, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
let's watch one." I'm like, "I'm gonna leave the room.
It's
I
all
can't
I
watch."
think the audio is worse than the video. I could
Yeah, I mean, just hearing yourself.
for some reason hearing yourself is just such a foreign.
Oh god, I don't know why. I'm gonna listen to this podcast back a little and just be super
Oh, I just don't even
butthurt. No, I'm just kidding.
bother listening. But
Yeah, but
like,
it's like I love it. I love to do it.
oh, it's I mean, yeah, it's so fun to put your ideas out there and get the, interaction about them. Do you think it is, just thinking this now, do you think you don't like to hear yourself on camera because it is such an like, unnatural sensation? Like nothing in nature would ever allow you to hear your voice outside of the first time you said it.
Yeah, wow, that's super meta, but yes, I
Right.
think yeah, no, definitely, that's it, and I also just think I mean, maybe it's just, like, insecurity just at its base, like, social anxiety, insecurity, like, "Oh, dude, are people gonna think I sound stupid?" Or, like
Huh, yeah.
and what I'm saying is, like, will people like it? Which is such a dumb thing to think, but, just it's just weird, man, like, talking to a camera is, like it's a very new thing and, like,
Oh, for sure. And I think
weird.
it is that kind of meta because maybe when you hear yourself walk back through it the second time, you wouldn't say the same thing again. So
Right, yeah.
you're already dissecting what you would have just said in the guise of like, well, if I was actually explaining this to this crowd of people, I would have presented it differently. And that's
Mhm.
kind of the cringeworthiness where it's like, oh God, this message isn't meant for you in your ears. It's meant for someone very different. And
It's oh, yeah, it's something weird, but again, I can't stop, I really can't.
no, yeah, it's a fun process, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, man, we are an hour and a half through this.
Yeah, it's crazy how time flies, I just looked at the clock also.
You're getting late over there on the East Coast. Not that you have a bedtime.
Yeah, usually this is editing time.
You save that for the late hours.
I try to just be consistent, I do at least, like, 2 hours a night if I wanna stay I mean, now also that I've gotten more support, all I wanna do is put out videos, so I'm
Oh,
trying to
I feel
buckle
that.
down and just edit, and it's so much time, it takes a while, so you can't let it sleep.
I feel that. Well, hell, I can give you the audio from this as well if you want to upload it. I'm not sure if it falls in line with your standard, upload protocol, but if you want the content, it's just
Yeah,
as
I
much.
would maybe like it, and maybe I could splice some things up and put some clips in. I think I did that for one of the other videos.
Sure.
No rush, but yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, I'll definitely link this on my channel once you upload it to
Yeah.
yours.
I mean, it's equally your content as much as mine.
No doubt, man. You're the ringleader though.
I gotta force people to help me make content to keep things interesting.
This is so fun. I mean, anytime I'd love to keep doing this. It's a good time, and hopefully people listen and maybe they have questions or they want to hear other things us talk about. I'm for it all, man.
Yeah, I love the idea of getting the longer form stuff as a staple on my channel. So, you're welcome every time.
Your brother.
All right. Well, we'll cut it here. Hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out SLEW's channel as well as mine and maybe show some love to the two of us.
Absolutely, much love to you and everyone. Peace.